Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Love and Hip Hop Miami review. So let's just get right into it because this first episode of season 7 was a lot. So at the very beginning of this episode, Amara ends up asking Eliza to meet up so they can have a conversation because the last time they saw each other, Eliza ended up showing up to an event where Amara was at and she was wearing a t-shirt basically calling Amara a husband stealer and telling women that they need to be careful having Amara around their husbands. And obviously Amara felt some type of way about that because her and Eliza were cool at one point. So that's the reason why she decided to meet up with Eliza in this episode. Now, when Amara does bring this to Eliza's attention, Eliza does admit that she was wrong for showing up to the event wearing that t-shirt calling Amara a husband stealer, but said that the only reason why she did that was because Amara was friendly with her op, which is Estelita at the time. And when Estelita came to Amara talking bad about Eliza, Amara said to Estelita that she was not going to go to Eliza's event. And that's why Eliza felt some type of ways because she felt like Amara was siding with her op. And look, I can see both sides of this situation. I can understand why Eliza felt some type of way about Amara not showing up to her event just because of something that Estelita said. But instead of showing up to an event calling Amara a husband stealer in a t-shirt, I definitely do feel like she could have talked to Amara about the situation instead of doing that because that was really embarrassing for her to do to Amara. But I also feel like Amara was wrong for taking a side in the situation between Eliza and Estelita because she was friends with the both of them. I don't feel like she needed to end her friendship with either one of them. I just think that she should have told them that she wanted to stay out of whatever issues that they had with each other. And Amara did, kind of take Estelita's side and said that she wasn't going to, Eliza's event because Estelita told her some things that made her feel uncomfortable. And I feel like, Amara could have talked to Eliza about it. Now, things don't get crazy between Eliza and Amara during this conversation. They seem to be really calm with each other. You can tell that there's still a little bit of tension there, but they did kind of make up a little bit. I don't feel like they could be friends with each other though, and I don't feel like they should try to be because honestly, I feel like too many things has been said and too many things have been done between the both of them that I just don't feel like a friendship between the two of them would be genuine. I also kind of didn't like that Amara was pushing for Eliza to have a one-on-one conversation with Shay because I just feel like even if you're friends with both of them and they don't like each other, I feel like you should stay out of it because Amara trying to force a conversation between two people who don't like each other, it could only end bad. So I feel like she should stay out of it. Amara did say though that she doesn't want to have any beef with Eliza because she's already beefing with Miami Tip because of things Miami Tip was saying about Alan and his wife on social media. She was basically saying pray for Alan's wife, and then Alan's wife ended up responding to it. So obviously Amara feels some type of way. She feels like Miami Tip should have minded her business. So Amara says that when she sees Miami Tip, it's on site. Now, Michael Blackson and his fiance Rada are on this season of Love and Hip Hop Miami, which was pretty interesting to me. And basically Rada is pregnant with their son together, okay? They have children separately, but they don't have a child together. She said that they were struggling to have a baby, but they did IVF and she finally ended up getting pregnant. And she told him that she feels some type of way about when he's on the road away from her because she feels like there's too many women around. And she basically said that she's fearful that another woman will take him away from her. She told him that she understands that when they got together, she was cool with things being open, with him being able to sleep with other women. But she said that now that they're having a baby together, she just doesn't want that to be the example that their son sees. And so now that she's pregnant, she feels like things should change. And so she said that she doesn't want him to be with his side chicks anymore. She wants him to end things, but it didn't seem like he was willing to do that. And I honestly do feel for Rada in this situation. I definitely do feel like, she doesn't deserve to be treated this way, but I also have to look at it this way. She did get into this relationship with this man, knew who he was, knew how he felt about being in a monogamous relationship. She knew he wanted to see other people, and she allowed that to happen. Like, she allowed herself to be in this situation, accepted it, was fine with it. I think I saw her do an interview or she posted something on social media where she said that she was okay with him being with other women. So she allowed this to go on, and now it's bothering her. And I feel like, honestly, it probably always bothered her, but she wanted to keep this man happy with her. So she decided to allow him to step out on the relationship. She should have never allowed that to happen in the first place. She should have never agreed to do that. Because he's already been doing it, he's already comfortable doing it, and now she doesn't want him doing it anymore, but he already has been. He's not going to cut off these other relationships that he's had with other women, and I do feel like he's wrong for that. I feel like he's too old to be doing that, and I feel like it's messy. This is why you don't allow this type of stuff to go on anyway. If you're not the type of person who wants to be with somebody who is open and wants to see other people while they're with you, don't get into that type of situation. She probably didn't think that she would mind it, but now she feels some type of way about it, and she wants things to change, and honestly, it's clear clear that Michael Blackson does not want it to change at all. Now, Bobby, Miami Tip, and Joy end up meeting up at this club, and they're having a conversation, and Joy ends up telling them that she doesn't have a place to stay currently because she was trying to get a house and it ended up falling through, and she already, her lease was up at the other place that she was staying at, so now she has no place to go. And Bobby tells her that she can go stay with Trick because they're not divorced and her name is still on the house. And she said that she was absolutely not going to do that, but then later on in this episode, she ends up showing up to Trick's house with a U-Haul truck and all of her things, including her cat. And Trick did not seem to be for it. He didn't tell her to leave, and he did tell her that she could stay, but he also was not feeling the way that she handled the situation. Now, I believe this is just a storyline. I don't think this part is real because I just really don't feel like Joy would literally have no place to go. And I feel like it's a storyline for her to go and be with Trick, but we'll just deal with it as the storyline that it is and see how it plays out. So Rada decides that she's going to meet up with 3 of her friends before she goes to Arizona to have her baby, because she said that all of her family and friends are in Arizona and that's where she feels comfortable enough to have the baby. And she lets her friends know that once she has the baby, her and Michael and the baby are moving to Miami, and her friends feel some type of way about them moving to Miami because Rada has already dealt with Michael Blackson having all these other women while he's in LA. Now they're going to Miami where there's a lot of beautiful women and a lot of temptation, and they're wondering if that's a good idea for them to move there. I think that that's crazy that they even have to tell her that they shouldn't move to Miami because of the way that Michael's going to act with other women. I mean, he's already been seeing a lot of other women anyway, so it really doesn't matter where they move to. It doesn't matter if they move to Montana. He's still going to find women to sleep with there too. So I just feel like that was crazy in the first place. But her friends were telling her that she deserves a lot better, and she seems like she's not happy, but she said that she loves Michael. She just doesn't like that he won't give up his side chicks. And I just feel like, you're not supposed to love a man more than you love yourself. I'm sorry. You just are not supposed to do that. And you're not supposed to fall in love with the potential that somebody has. You're supposed to fall in love with what they're showing you. And to me, he hasn't shown her that he just wants to be with her. And she allowed this to go on for so long that even though I do feel for her when she's crying and I wish that she would want better for herself, she has to want it for herself. Like, she was even saying that it seems like he's choosing his side chicks over her, and it's like, that's because he is. And it's like, she shouldn't even want to keep herself in that type of situation. Like, look at her. She's pregnant, she's about to give birth, and she's crying over this man who's supposed to be, caring for her at this time when she's pregnant. So I just feel like she deserves a lot better. Now, Trick ends up meeting up with his ex-girlfriend Samantha, that just happens to be Joy's sister, and I thought that was kind of weird. Like, let me find out that Joy and Samantha actually had this storyline before Gael and, Flo did. But it seemed like from this conversation that Samantha still wants Trick, which honestly is weird to me because he's married to her sister. But she was like saying little things during this conversation, like she was saying that she feels like Trick needs a mature woman in his life, which he said he doesn't want. He likes women a lot younger than him. That's what he said multiple times, which I think is disgusting, but that's what he says. And she starts saying that she was with Trick before Joy, and that Joy was telling her not to take Trick seriously because he was a player, and then Joy ended up being with him herself. And honestly, if that is true, Joy was wrong in that situation, but Trick was too. And it seemed like from her confessional, she seemed more upset with Joy than Trick. And I understand because that's her sister, but at the end of the day, she's sitting at the table being cool with Trick, laughing and joking around with him and smiling, but then she's saying she hasn't fully forgiven Joy. Why are you cool with Trick, but you're not cool with your sister? I feel like if she's going to be mad at them, she should be mad at both of them, not just her sister. She should be mad at Trick too, because he played a part in it as well. I definitely do feel like this is a really messy situation though. Like, this might be more messier than Gael and Flo's situation, because everybody feels like Gael and Flo's storyline was fake and that Gael didn't really sleep with Marlon. But with this situation between Trick and Samantha, to me, it seems like it's real. Now, I could be wrong, but it seems like it is. So Amara and Shay end up going to Bobby's hosting event, which a lot of people ended up showing up to, a lot of people that don't like each other. And Eliza ends up showing up because, Amara said that she wanted Shay and Eliza to have a conversation. So Eliza immediately approaches Shay, and you can feel the tension immediately come on the screen when they're near each other. And Shay says that Eliza started their beef with each other and that Eliza was telling a lot of lies on her. And Eliza admits that she did lie on Shay, but says that Shay also lied on her, which Shay did not deny lying on Eliza too. So basically they admitted that they were lying on each other, using rumors that were spread about them that weren't true just to get back at each other. So they both agreed that they were both lying on each other. Things start getting tense though, and it seems like things might end up getting physical, but then Eliza immediately tries to calm things down. And it worked for a second, but then Eliza started saying that Shay talked about her daughter, calling her a motherfucker, and that's not what, Shay said, because they ended up playing the clip. What Shay said was she can understand why Future didn't want to claim that baby or that motherfucker. And she was calling Eliza the motherfucker, but I can understand why she felt some type of way because Shay shouldn't have said that anyway. Like, him not claiming the baby is not nothing to be okay with, because even if he doesn't like Eliza and he's embarrassed that he was with her, he shouldn't be, not claiming his baby or taking care of his baby. So I don't feel like Shay should have said that anyway. But Amara ends up getting frustrated with the two of them and she walks away, and that's when Shay tells Eliza that she doesn't want to have the conversation right now. She said that she's already dealing with too much and she feels like it's not the time, and she ends up walking away. And I do feel like Shay handled that well, because I feel like before she probably would have started throwing things and the two of them probably would have started fighting, but she knew that things were going to escalate, so she decided to remove herself from the situation before things got crazy. But Miami Tip ends up showing up to the event where Amara is, and she walks right up to Amara like everything's cool, and Amara immediately kind of shoos her away and she tells her that she's getting too close to her. And Miami Tip is kind of laughing at Amara because I don't think that she's really taking this beef with Amara seriously, so she's laughing it off, saying that she came in peace. But Amara starts telling Miami Tip that she needs to mind her business and that getting involved in her situation with Alan and bringing his wife into it wasn't right. She should have stayed out of it. And Amara started saying that she never got involved in any of Miami Tip's business, so she doesn't understand why Miami Tip is in hers. But Miami Tip is saying that she was trying to have Amara's back because she didn't like the way that Alan was playing in her face and how he still has a wife, but yet he was sleeping with her, and how he's dogged her out on national TV. She just doesn't think that he's worth all that. And look, I can see both sides of the situation. Amara's right. Miami Tip should have stayed out of her business. She got too invested in Amara's business and she should have stayed out of it, because you can tell Amara that she shouldn't be with Alan, that she shouldn't care about him, that he's married, and that she should just leave him alone. But at the end of the day, she's going to make whatever choice she wants to. And we know that Amara's kind of an airhead, so she's still going to deal with that man anyway. I mean, he made her look like a fool all last season and she still stood by him. But I can also see Miami Tip's reasoning is because, she doesn't want to see Amara go out like that. Amara's a beautiful, talented woman. She should not be lowering herself by being with somebody like Alan, who has made colorist remarks towards her, made her look like a fool, called her all types of names, and still has a wife, and yet she's still dealing with him. So I can understand both sides of the situation. But things kind of start to turn physical between the two of them when Miami Tip calls Amara dumb and says that she's setting a bad example for her daughters, that her daughters are going to see how weak of a woman she is. And obviously that triggered Amara because her daughters were mentioned, and so she throws a drink at Miami Tip. She starts throwing cups and stuff. None of it ends up hitting Tip, and it just was crazy. I will say Miami Tip shouldn't have said your daughters are going to see what type of weak woman you are, because I feel like anytime you mention somebody's kids, even if you're not talking bad about the kids and you're talking about the person themselves, you're still mentioning their children in the conversation, which people don't like and they will be triggered by. However, she was right. Amara's not really setting a good example for her daughters when she's dealing with Alan still, after the way he's playing in her face and after the way that he disrespected her. I can understand she has to co-parent with him because that's the father of her children, but as far as being with him romantically and allowing him to play in her face, that's not something that she should be doing. So at the very end of this episode, Michael Blackson ends up getting out of his car and he goes into this woman's apartment, and she's there and she has a pregnant belly, and he's rubbing her stomach and giving her cupcakes, and he gets in his confessional and he says that, Rada's worst fear is that he's going to be attached to one of his side chicks, and he said that he wasn't trying to be attached to any of his side chicks, but that he got this woman Nadia pregnant, so now he's attached to her for 18 years. I don't think that Rada knew about this. I think it's a really messy situation. Like, he really got himself into a really messy situation, and I feel like Rada should have separated herself from it immediately. The minute he said that he wanted to see other women and be in an open relationship, that's when she should have exited, but she chose not to. Now this situation is extremely messy. Like, he literally has this other woman pregnant at the same time as Rada, and you can tell that she's pregnant and kind of deep in her pregnancy because her stomach is sticking all the way out, which means that he got them pregnant around the same time. So that's disgusting to me. He's really gross. I don't even understand why these women are even giving him this much attention, but they are, and it might be because of his money. I don't know if that's the reason why, but that might be the reason why. I just think it's a messy situation. So those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Love and Hip Hop Miami. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.